Hi, I'm Garm1, and this is Midgardia's Cool Crowdfunding Show. I'm here today with Gio and Waks. How's it going?
Glad to be here again.
You're here today to talk about Maharlika. Who wants to give me a rundown?
Right. So, Maharlika is basically a techno mystical mecha RPG where you play as the titular Maharlika in a galaxy that's inspired by Filipino culture and Filipino mythology, where you pilot mechs that are powered by spirit gods, basically. So that's Maharlika.
Nice, nice. That sounds awesome. I love mechs, personally.
Hell yeah. Mech lovers unite.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I've watched a lot of Gundam and a lot of Macross.
Ah, that's perfect. Yeah.
um, the art for this project looks fantastic. Gio, why don't you tell me a little bit about that?
Ooh.
Oh, thanks. Uh, thanks for the thanks for liking the art. Yeah, it's actually a bit of a process. Oh wait, can I share my screen in this? Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Oh my gosh.
Learning new
Okay.
tricks.
Okay, I would like to share this like super early stuff that I did. Uh,
Wow. Behind the scenes stuff.
Oh hell yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Exclusively in
Exclusives.
with
Yeah.
Garm.
Okay, if not, I'll just go check my Facebook.
Should be
Remember,
able
like
to.
okay, because the art for Maharlika looks really different, way back than it does look now.
That's true.
Yeah, mostly because like I've improved, and also the fact that
Mm,
uh, I guess also like tastes have changed as well, and because like
mm,
I figured out new techniques, but a lot of it is still pretty similar. Oh, I can't
yeah.
find the super. Remember the Sawa that I hosted? It's this originally
Right.
a lot of the art was supposed to look very more natural and like wooden almost. I think that was like
Mm,
one of the original concepts, right?
mm-hmm.
Uh but then I sort of steered away from it and it's become more like this sort of metal look. I will hopefully share screen.
I actually retrofitted the sort of floor around that as well. So that the sort of platings of the mech frames are made of steel, metal, and the magic metal like that you would find in most Gundam shows, right? And the skeletal system of the mech itself would be made of the special wood that you can find in the setting.
Nice.
So that accommodates like the aesthetics of the newer mech art that's coming out.
You got something that's like a little bit Evangelion-y with that like fusion of organic and metallic stuff, right? Is that about right?
Yeah, yes, very much so. Even in like our original cover, it shows like more of the wooden stuff done by Togi Demi. Oh my god, their art was really cool, and I think I was there. I got in after they made that,
Yep.
so I was like, oh, is this supposed to how it looked like? But had like another vision for it, and it was like different as well. There was also Sin's artwork from
Yeah.
the other part of the Kickstarter. Sin was also did some sketches of what the mechs would have looked like. Uh, okay, uh,
I think it is good that you got on the project eventually, because the other two artists that I had, who were great artists, obviously, and they added a lot of good flavor onto the mech art. They weren't exactly like mech artists, right? So I think having someone who likes doing mech art um, sort of helps ground the mechs more, in terms of both aesthetics as well as inspirations, and expectations for mechs at least.
Yeah.
Okay. So I have some of the artwork and like mood works and stuff that I've had. Here, I'll try sharing it. It's work. Ah, yes, nice, nice, nice. So these were one of the original mechs that I made, like a lot, like maybe almost
Oh
like
yeah,
a year and a bit ago. This was the Relo Hero, and that was pretty fun. It was based on like
yeah.
do you want to talk about the the design the I guess the game design part of it, and then I'll just talk about how I interpreted it.
Sure, yeah. So the relojero is kind of like the Tagalog term for someone who makes clocks, like clockmaker or watchmaker. And his entire thing is basically just time manipulation, right? Like probability manipulation, stuff like that. That that high level science fiction stuff. Um, so actually, that was it, and I kind of just made systems around that. So you would have like guns um, that would fire like areas that would have like slowed time that would slow enemies and stuff like that. Mechanically, it is inspired by the time mage in Final Fantasy Tactics, um, which I really loved mid game. So I kind of, yeah, that was like the main inspiration for Relahera, at least.
Yeah,
Goji.
yeah. So I kind of took that in a way, and I remember I was talking to Wax about this when I was making this. I was like, clocks don't really exist in pre-colonial Philippines. It was mostly like I was thinking about it, and I was like, there isn't really stuff like that in like clocks in that
Right.
area.
Yeah.
So sorry, I'm bouncing around a bit, trying to
Hey, I know that.
organize.
I know that
But
Twitter.
but yeah. So I was like, what about like moon cycles and stuff, and having that have like that moon motif in it? So that's
Yeah.
why I have these like the circular part in the back as well, and then I kind of put that all over with this the transforming scythe gun. I had that as well,
Mm.
and did that there. But yeah, this was like one of the very first ones, and as you can see, it looks very different to the other ones that I have now. I think parts of it still holds up, but hopefully, like once the Kickstarter ends, I get to like touch them up a bit and make them like up to snuff because
Mm-hmm.
man, it like uh, I guess being an artist, I'm always like this could always be better. This is as good as it
Yeah.
is now. Yeah, I
One
don't know
thing
if
you
you
would
have that feeling.
notice, I
Oh, sorry,
think,
go ahead.
one thing I did notice with Gio, so with Gio style is that his newer stuff has a distinctly more like cell shaded feel, which I think definitely adds to the game as a whole. Because a lot of people see the cell shaded stuff we post on Twitter, and then suddenly they're just all over Maharlika,
Oh,
because they love that stuff, and it's great, and it's really cool seeing Gio like grow as an artist as we're designing the game.
oh yeah.
Because I haven't been editing Maharlika for like almost a year now, waiting for the Kickstarter, obviously. But now that the Kickstarter is out, I've resumed editing it. I'm actually like halfway through when I paused it to do other projects. And looking at it from like a fresh point of view was really interesting. Was really important because the game itself actually isn't bad. When I was editing it back then, I was like, "Oh man, this is such a bad game." I kept thinking that. But like when I did it, when I'm editing it right now, and when I ran it with like a bunch of people, I'm like, "Wow, okay, this is actually an okay game. All right, I'm not ashamed of this thing." Uh,
Yeah.
wow, I love mechs again, stuff
Is
like
that your
that.
endorsement on the Kickstarter page? Yeah, it's okay.
Uh,
Walks 2021.
yeah, it's pretty decent. But yeah, look at the. Go ahead, Gio.
Yeah, yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, I just popped this up right now, but yeah, this is actually one of the things I'm working on right now as a promo image, as a kind of like a thank you for getting funded today. Actually, remember I woke up and then everyone was like, "It's funded," and I'm like,
Yeah,
"Okay,
it's
cool.
funded.
Let me work on a little bit thank you image." But yeah, it's very different from the illustrations I did there.
Yeah. I
So
mean, both
definitely.
styles are sick. Like, some good stuff, man.
Mm.
Also, I've got the like the big red Evangelion looking thing with the like
Yes.
dragon around it. Man,
Yeah, that was crazy. Like when Gio put that out, I knew there was gonna be like a paradigm change, paradigm shift in the art direction, because that was
Yeah.
crazy when he put it out. Yeah,
yeah, like that. I'm an outsider to this project, obviously, but that looks like the like key art piece there. People ask what Maharlika is
yeah,
about, and you're like, well, it's this.
yeah,
Yeah.
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 Everybody just goes, oh yeah,
Exactly.
I gotcha.
I
I'll
think
pull
it
that up right
captures the
now.
sort of spirit mech aesthetic that we have in Maharlika. It definitely captures that, because Go In, that's the name of the frame that's featured there, is also like inspired by more like indigenous prints and stuff like that. So like if you look at it right now, you can see like the platings down in the front resemble like the front um sort of flaps of a bahag, which is like traditional Filipino clothing. um so that's pretty great. And then of course the dragon kind of represents the bakunawa, which is another traditional Filipino folklore creature, myth creature. And it's great. It's pretty cool. I can tell that Gio was really proud of this one when he posted it. Yeah,
Yeah.
tell us
I,
about it, Gio.
you should be, man.
But
Oh
oh
man.
yeah, so I'm trying to pull out my reference sheet actually for this because I think like a lot of other artists, like
Tell me
your
about that.
reference really matters. Your references like really matter and how it kind of ends up because then the stuff that you look at kind of influences a lot the end product.
Yeah, absolutely.
And but yes, there is. I'm glad people got the Evangelion references. Okay, there, because that's actually one of the things I looked at when designing the color scheme. Because there's a, I remember people were posting studies of Hideaki Anno's like Evangelion movies and how like the color works in that, and that was actually one of the things there. But yeah,
Nice.
the core concept actually was supposed to be some sort of the original lore of it was like a Filipino six-headed ogre.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so I was a lot of the times I was thinking like what other things have like six heads in like other cultures or multiple heads in other cultures, and I think one of the
Mm-hmm.
things was a lot of the Indian creatures
Mm-hmm.
and gods have like multiple heads, and I was like looking at that and other Hindu mythologies when looking at that and kind of put that into
Yeah,
the thing there.
that's pretty perfect, because like Philippines was Indianized in the past, so a lot of our gods did actually come from Indian influences after all. So it's like a full circle.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So what's the general term for these mechs in setting? Is there like a special name for the like entire class of robot?
It's just mecha
Okay.
with a K. But the ones that the Maharlika pilot are called Neogen Mecha. They're like the new generation of mecha. Um, uh, they're kind of like they're faster. They're not like the trudging Gundam mechs, like the old Gundam mechs that would be like you have to control everything. This one's more of like a full subjectivity sync. um so yeah, your actions are like the actions of the mecha and stuff like that, and that's what makes the Maharlika so powerful and so wanted, and what makes the new gen mecha so expensive to make.
Right. And they're like was that about 60, 75 feet tall somewhere in there? Am I getting that about right?
I think it's shorter than that. Or I think I put it here somewhere. Yeah, it's 13 to 30, anywhere between that.
My,
13 to 30 feet tall. Yeah,
oh, 13 or 30 feet. I thought you were talking meters for
yeah.
a second. I was like,
No, no, no.
my country does use metric, but I could not tell you
Yeah.
what heights work out to in meters.
Uh,
I can't eyeball meters just yet because of Philippines. But yeah. So yeah, when you think of like the mechs in the setting, they are more of like the size of like the Titanfall mechs, right? So
Right.
like yeah, in that sort of ballpark. I made it that way so that they can you can bring them into like space stations and stuff like that. And then you can have like these corridor space station battles with your mechs. That would be really rad.
I like you a lot, Walks. I just thought you should know.
Thank you.
So why don't you tell me a little bit about the setting of Maharlika?
All right, so the setting of Maharlika, you guys play as like Maharlika in this galaxy called the Archipelago, with a K instead of a CH. And so this galaxy is a science fantasy galaxy. It's like a galaxy far, far away kind of deal. And it doesn't even follow like the laws of physics strictly. Like there's like a god in the middle of the galaxy, and the reason why there's like Dewata and humans is because that god or whatever it is there has like life rays that are like extending across the galaxy and it's giving life to those galaxies. um so like at the edges of the galaxy where the life rays are weakest, those are where the untouchables and the disenfranchised are and stuff like that. um Planets would have their own, instead of like having they would have a core, but then living within the core of the planets would be the Dewata of the planets. Dewata being the spirits that exist in the setting. So like if you kill a Dewata, the planet goes inert. It can no longer sustain life, stuff like that. um and yeah, so there is definitely this mix of like spiritual naturalism and techno cyberpunky almost aesthetics that we have. There's excess, and then um there's like environmentalism that's happening, that's going on. um and of course you guys that play the Maharlika, you guys are like stuck in the middle of all that. You have to figure out what you want to do in the galaxy that only sees you as like weapons to be pointed at an enemy. So yeah, that's the general sort of setting of Maharlika. Megacorps fighting against each other all the time, and Maharlika being piloting these mechs that are powered by literal nature gods, um, that have to deal with have to fight tooth and nail, and every time they go into a mecha, they don't know if they'll ever be able to get out. You know, that's like the feel of the setting.
So there's a chance that it'll like grab hold of them and never let go once they're inside or that kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah. One sort of unique setting part and mechanic of the game is that there is a corruption mechanic called pagsasapi, which translates directly into possession. In modern Filipino like language, it would be used when talking about demonic possessions. So pagsasapi would be like whenever you like overclock, you overdrive your mech, you push your mech to the limit. You use systems that give you pagsasapi points. You gain pagsasapi points. So that means the dewata that's in the mech gains more hold over your soul, basically. And then you have, of course, a pagsasapi limit. So once you go past that pagsasapi limit, you can no longer play your Maharlika because it's been possessed by the Dewata that's in the mech, basically. Basically, the pilot just becomes another component of the mech, just becomes a part of the Dewata sort of god mind, and you have to make a new Maharlika now. As your Maharlika is dead, basically. So that's why to remove pagsasapi points, you have to get in touch with your inner humanity. So that's done through brotherhoods or bonds or links as they're called in the game now, which are like social links basically from Persona. You have to link with your other player characters, with the NPCs that you made, to shed off that pagsasapi, to shed off that Dewata power. So yeah, there's this like tug of war of, if you want to win this battle that you really need to win, you have to up, give up a part of yourself, and you have to know whether when you get back to like your hangar or whatever, you have to know whether you'll have a way to get back in touch with your humanity, or this is something that will leave you permanently different at the end of the mission. So
Go,
yeah.
go eat some katsudon with your buddies to restore your humanity. I got you.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm a sucker for like weird bioorganic, mechs.
Yeah, exactly. Hell yeah.
So, Gio, why don't you tell us a little bit about the aesthetics of Maharlika?
Sure. So there's it's the of it. The world building is I took a lot of direct inspiration from like uh kind of like the whole of the Philippines actually. The whole Philippines has like so many environmental uh I guess like variations too. You got like these really cool mangrove swamps in it. You got these really
Mm.
cool rice paddy fields, and you even have like these like big cities that actually look super cyberpunk. I'm actually gonna pull up. I'm actually gonna pull up one of these photographers. So this photographer Lucius Filmus is actually takes some like super cool photos of Manila,
Nice.
Man,
and
I just
oh
had
my
like
gosh,
war flashback seeing that picture.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
like the hell highway of the metro. Takes like 3 hours to run like what 10 kilometers. Jesus.
The Filipino version of the 401 in Toronto, yeah.
Mm.
it's probably even worse than that actually. Uh,
Yeah, it's humid and it's wet all the time.
That does make everything worse.
but yeah, getting
Damn.
these cyberpunk aesthetics, oh, very big inspiration for that. But also having the more natural stuff. Uh, actually, my most recent illustrations having these like sort of mangroves inspired by like mangrove swamps. I really wanted to like showcase not just like I think a lot of Filipino fantasy stuff focuses a lot of like on the natural side of things, but I also kind of wanted to showcase like kind of all of it there, having the natural as well as like the more man-made stuff, and even actually touching on uh, other parts of the Filipino history. For example, the Filipino Catholic side of it, uh, being inspired by a lot of the churches and stuff, and turning that into like a really cool mech hanger, and as well
Hell,
Mm.
incorporating that still natural aesthetic there that is very prevalent using like the natural fauna there.
yeah.
But yeah,
I
turning that into like a mech hanger, it's pretty fun.
I greatly appreciate the like diorama kind of influences on some of your concept art, like the
Yeah.
Oh
mangrove
yes,
hunter where you've got like the
yeah,
yeah, the stuff dripping off the
yes,
side. I love that,
yeah.
man.
I am a big fan of Gunpla, and I am very jealous of those who can actually have the space to like make kit bash sets and like just
Oh
full
yeah.
on put on a diorama, and I can't really do
Yeah.
that
Holy.
right now. So I'm like, okay, might as well make just a digital one. So
Yeah.
that's a
I
big inspiration.
I used to build wargaming terrain back when I was in high school.
Yes,
I miss that.
yeah, those like I really like also the physical side of tabletop games, and that's actually a big inspiration of these. Unfortunately, Maharlika doesn't have that right now, but I hope with all these like things that I'm working on, people will just like brain rot it into existence. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
Maharlika, the war
those like
game.
these, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
like building
Oh
uh,
man. Yeah.
these awesome
I,
like kit things. I'm like, please, if someone wants to sponsor it, that'd be great. Look, I already even have concept art for it.
can you bring up the
But
Uh,
Maharlipla Evangelion there?
yeah.
yeah, sure.
Maharlika.
Yeah, this is like more like the metal, like the high end like the metal build versions
Yeah.
of like Gundams. Yeah, this was
Yeah.
The
kind of
PGs and stuff like
inspired.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So this was kind of inspired by that there.
That's
Hell
so
yeah.
good.
It even have the box art. I
Let's
Man,
go. All you
yeah,
need is a 3D printer now.
yeah,
you are my kind of nerd, dude.
yeah. So yeah, Maharlika is very much like I want to build my own Gundams. Please make it happen. And this is
Mm.
this is how it happening. So yeah. I know a lot of other like tabletop people, especially the Lancer community. The Lancer community actually is a big influence in my stuff. Like, oh, they make the coolest stuff. And honestly, like the stuff that the community makes, like gunpla, wargaming, painting, oh, so good. I'm like that to happen here too, please. So yeah.
Yeah, Lancer. I can talk about Lancer real quick. Because like Lancer's kind of like the inspiration that got Marlika into like writing, because I had this idea before where you would play Dungeons and Dragons Fourth Edition, but the setting is kind of like Anthem, where you play as like characters in like power armor and power suits. And like the encounters at will's dailies, they would be like equipments and the systems that you would have on your suit. But then I never pushed through with that. I was writing something else at the time. I was writing Karanduan, and then eventually I got into a Lancer game, and I played around with Lancer, and I was like, huh, this works. This works. So I was like, maybe I can revisit that old concept, and I used that concept and then turned it into Maharlika. And I stole a lot from Lancer's mechanics, mostly like the small numbers and the sort of megacorp based power sources for the mechs. Um, so yeah, Lancer was definitely like a huge impetus for Maharlika, and yeah, I'm really grateful for it, and you know that's really cool. There in the speaking about talking about the Kickstarter in our shores. One of our sort of pledge tiers is that you can pledge, and then we can make a sort of frame with you that we can put into the game. So we have all five of those filled out, which is really cool. So the end of the sort of final product of Maharlika will have 25 frames instead of just 20, which is really cool. One of them is actually doing like an official Lancer kind of like supplement called Battle Group, which is like the ship RPG or war game kind of game. Um, so that's pretty cool. I can't wait to work with them. So yeah,
Nice. And we'll get back to mechanics in a sec, but this is wildly off topic, but I have to ask: did you actually play Anthem?
I haven't played Anthem. I just watched like the
Uh,
the flying.
Okay, because nobody's played Anthem. Like
Yeah.
I'm from Alberta. BioWare is based here.
yeah.
Nobody's played
Oh.
Anthem.
I'm in Montreal too, and the EA Motive guys also helped on that as well. And I'm just like,
They
nope, I haven't played it either.
they commissioned a corn
Yeah,
maze in the shape of the Anthem logo to advertise it out here. That is how Albertan this game
Oh,
is.
really?
Yeah,
oh yeah, no way.
Whoa.
and
Yeah.
like
Okay.
nobody. I've never met anybody who has actually admitted to playing Anthem. So I was like, is it finally time? Oh,
That's rad. That's
it's
that's so. Yeah, that's cool. Okay.
yeah, it's. I mean, I've met people from Bioware. Like I've played games with Mark Mir before. It's it's a good time, but I'm
Mm.
still not playing Anthem. Um.
uh,
Anyway, back to Maharlika. Instead of just talking shit about my country's only real game studio, um, I guess there's Ubisoft Montreal, but
Mm.
So why don't you tell me a little bit about the mechanics of Maharlika?
Oh. It's heavily based on inspired by Dungeons and Dragons Fourth Edition. Obviously, I've already said that. So attacks of opportunity, grid-based combat, although it assumes hexes more than squares. Um, what else? Fully customizable mechs. You would have a frame, and then you can put as many like systems that as you want. It's called a gimat in the setting. What else? Character creation is kind of life pathy, so you don't have to like read huge swaths of lore to ground your character in the setting. You just roll 1d10s on everything basically, and that sort of like defines who your character is, and that helps you. It becomes like a bouncing point for other characters, for stories in the characters. um the of course, there's a huge emphasis. There's like a split between like narrative pilots and tactical mecha combat. You would go into tactical mecha combat whenever there's like mechs in the field. Of course, there's a focus on tactical combat. Much of like the design space is centered around that. Um, I won't get into the too specifics of the mechanics of the combat because it is kind of long. Although it's not like any more complex or as Lancer or fourth edition. But one thing I do want to point out real quick that I find really cool, but I haven't pulled it off yet when I'm running. Oh wait, I have before I have. Okay, yeah, I have. Basically, the sort of phases of the combat round is that there would be three phases. There's the activation phase, action phase, and then upkeep phase. And then like in those phases, you would have like stuff that you can do, right? One thing to note is that you can only move more or less uh, during the either the activation or the upkeep phase. In the action phase, you can't move, but you can boost in sort of like an armored core kind of fashion, where you like boost and then drift around, stuff like that. Additionally, there are some weapons that you can only fire during the activation round, or some weapons that you can only fire during the upkeep phase. Um, and that's what I wanted to get into. There's a weapon that you can fire at the upkeep phase, and then you can place them as like it fires like missiles that you can place as tokens into the battlefield. And then during the action phase, it stays on the battlefield, and then on the upkeep phase, it slams into the target that you were targeting. That kind of models, that thing where you fire missiles and then you can shoot those missiles out of the air during the action phase. So that's something that you can do in the game with the action economy that we have. You can do like that circus that you always see, for like stuff, like stuff in like Unicorn with the Kishatria that had like the funnels. Those you can do that with Maharlika by like just using your action phase to dodge all the funnels that are launched at you during the upkeep phase and stuff like that. Um, so yeah, that's one thing I wanted to highlight, at least in the combat.
Man, that rules.
Very anime.
Yeah,
Very anime. Yeah,
Very
love it.
anime.
obviously,
Oh my gosh.
obviously my influences were very, are Gundam and Gundam, Code Geass, all that stuff.
Yeah. I've got a lot of friends who are gonna love this. Uh, so, is there like a demo adventure or campaign in the core book?
Yeah, there is a sort of adventure that you can go through already out actually in the itch page of Maharlika and the beta. It's called One Night, I think. So it goes through a sort of,
Pull that up.
oh wow, yeah, yes please.
Awesome, thank you.
Oh. Yeah, yeah, time for night, there you go. It's like a one
Yes.
shot module that you can run. It presents like a planet. It presents a planet, a planet, a city, and then like a situation that you have to deal with. Even though it's a one shot, it can also spiral out of that into like a full on campaign by building upon the stuff that happens in the one shot, which you can easily do because there's a lot of generators in the core rulebook, which is a huge design principle that you'll see in a lot of my designs. It's just a bunch of generators, table generators, because those are like my favorite parts in games all the time. So I just like making them.
Gotta have those D66 tables. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Uh, that's awesome. That's one of my big like. So many times I picked up an RPG and I'm just like, I mean, cool, but what do I do with it?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. That's one thing. Like I love games like Exalted. But one thing you notice from them is that when people pick it up, they don't know what kind of games they would run in it, and that's mostly because sometimes Exalted does say what kind of games you can play in Exalted, but it's like beneath huge blocks of texts, where you don't need that much blocks of text. All you need is like a few sentences that would help jog the imagination. So that's been a sort of like a huge principle for me when it comes to like designing games.
Yeah, legit. Gio, this hanger is awesome, by the way. I should mention.
Yeah.
Looks like some Orican stuff from Warframe.
Yeah, that is actually very much a reference that I do have it on
Yeah.
my references list.
I'm
But
I'm
yeah,
just I'm picking them all up here.
yeah,
Yes.
I appreciate that. Yeah,
I've
Hmm.
I've logged like 1,000 or so hours in Warframe.
yeah, I'm almost reaching to that. I haven't played the newer like updates, but it's such a good time.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
I haven't played much since the second Fortuna update, but man, the story gets bizarrely good. Like you can tell the moment they hired an actual writing staff, it's just like it just suddenly skyrockets, and it's I see a common writer on there as well.
Oh yes, I am
Mm.
a big fan of that as well.
I
Yes.
see I see you two are a man of culture. um, yeah. Anything else you guys would like to bring up about Maharlika?
I think I've talked about all of the design aspects of the game. How about you?
I think I've talked about a lot of what I wanted to say already, but
All right.
kind of blanking a bit. But
Well, I do have one last question.
yes,
Gio, can you tell me about the pilot suit?
the pilot suit.
The one you are currently
Uh,
wearing?
the pilot. Okay, so okay, this is a big meme. I do a lot of in whatever like tabletop game I play. I will dress up as my I will try to dress up as my character.
Yeah.
Uh, before we played like Karandun together, and I was playing like this gunslinger guy, and I was wearing this like full tack gear outfit.
Yeah.
So
Full
that's kind
tactical
of
gear.
it. But yeah, like a lot of I really I like airsofting, so that's one of the things, and that's how I'm like in tech wear, and that's kind of also bleeds into Maharlika. The pilot suit designs I have yet to release those, but very soon. Uh, but yeah, like kind of mixing that along with kind of like military inspired outfits is kind of a lot of my jam, and then also adding that like additional layer of Filipino culture or like the materials or some sort of thing that references back to that sort of thing. A lot of, I guess here, this for example is probably one of the prime ones where
Hell
like
yeah.
a lot of like modern tack gear and then kind of like adding that sort of uh, pre-colonial Filipino aesthetic to it, or using the materials like just like a plate carrier or whatever, but done in a completely uh, different way, or using like wood and like ox horn as like the armor there. So yeah, that's kind of how I approach the fashion in that Maharlika. Actually, oh man, do
Dude,
I
after we're
have
all vaccinated,
these?
we need to hang out,
Yes.
man.
Yeah, actually, I've been meaning to go to conventions in Alberta for a while. I know Alberta has a big anime convention, right?
Yeah, Animathon.
Uh,
We've got like two or
yes,
three, but yeah, Animathon. Back before COVID, I was there every year in some capacity.
yes.
Nice.
Yeah.
I was actually considering. I was doing convention runs with my friend. We were planning on doing it, and then after that, the COVID stuff happened, and it's just like, nope, sorry.
Dude, if you do hit me up, I will show you all of the wonderful things of Edmonton. There's like three,
Sure.
so it won't take that long. But
But yeah, pilot suits are like,
nice.
or just like 100% just like, what if military, but also kind of cool. Like, it's just like this, the tech wear brain rot that I've had.
Hmm.
But
Oh man. All right.
I
I
also have,
that rules.
but actually, I have this as well here. This is kind of blurry. Okay, there it is. Yeah. So this is actually one of the things for like the one of the factions, the SDSK faction.
Yeah. The
Uh,
military faction.
yeah. So actually, it's getting like the traditional military wear or like the armor designs, and then kind of mixing up with like Gundam and modern tactical gear to get like some sort of this thing here.
And
It's
yeah. And the skid steer up there, the Bobcat.
yeah, yeah.
I mean, I'm a sucker for like industrial technology and all that kind of crap.
Yes, I am also a big. Yeah. Always as a kid, I was like, I'd like see those rolling by, and I'm like, that's pretty cool. Like,
Yeah,
I want to ride it.
I always get distracted by like railway maintenance equipment. I'm just like, oh, that is so cool.
Yeah, especially okay, here in Montreal, there's like construction all the time on like the roads or whatever, and I'm just like, that looks like a mech. I want to touch it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm in a rural area, so I see like tractors and combines and stuff all the time. Just like, that's sweet, man. Just see one of them like rumbling down Main Street in the middle of the day.
That reminds me. Do you know that what's that? There's that vehicle that's in that Kanye music video. Oh, fair. I found it. Oh, this one. Found it. It's this thing. This like Russian ATV looking thing. Oh
what
my gosh.
the hell?
Yeah. It was one of it was one of the Kanye's music videos. It's just like an arbor thing, and apparently it's like used for like all-terrain driving. Like you can ride in like into like water or whatever, and it'll still keep going, and you can like inflate and deflate stuff. And it looks like such a chunky thing, but
That's rad.
it's pretty wild.
The fucking Sherp, yeah.
Yeah.
I've been playing 7 Days to Die with my friends, and we just got a mod pack that has the fucking Sherp in it. I don't know why. But
it's a survival vehicle. I mean, that thing's a tank.
Yeah, I mean, we can build Sherps and BDRMs, man. Hell yeah. You play Arma 3 by any chance, Gio?
Unfortunately, I have never had the opportunity to get like a nice rig for that, and then when I did, I do not have the time. But I watch a lot of like Twitch streams of Arma, and that's always a good time. I actually do play Tarkov. Nice. I actually do play Tarkov though, which is kind of like Arma, but like more of like that. Yeah, it doesn't take as long, you know. You don't need as much coordination. You don't need to get like a huge like squadron and hop in and then do that. It's more like I'm here.
Yeah,
I'm trying to survive.
I have some friends who are really into Tarkov, and I also spend too much of my life watching fucking Digby Tath and Mortar play Arma 3 on Twitch. Alright, well, before Gio and I, like, delve straight off the cliff into, you know, fucking military gear fetishist hell, do either of you two have any closing words you'd like to say?
Gio?
Thanks again for helping us reaching our goal for the Kickstarter, and hopefully you get to enjoy the rest of the other games as well. Thank you again. I'm very honored, very happy about it.
Yeah, without Gio, for sure Maharlika could never have gotten off the ground. So I'm really appreciative of Gio, and of course appreciative of everyone that supported the Kickstarter. We can't wait to show you what's in store for Maharlika. And what's like the Maharlika catchphrase? Exceed the horizon. There, exceed the horizon. I have catchphrases for all my games. Makes it marketable, you know.
Yeah.
Waks, you're excellent. I just thought you should know. I also extend the offer to show you everything in Edmonton, but I mean that's a little bit less likely given the locations involved. So once again, this is for the Our Shores Kickstarter. It's on Kickstarter right now. It is fully funded. There is a link right below this video. And if you like this show, you can support it with the Patreon, which is also below this link. Or below this, is down there. But mostly, support Our Shores. It's a really cool project from, a group of RPG creators who don't get much exposure in the West, and they really should. Yeah. Once again, thanks for coming on, you two. It's been a joy.
Thank you. Appreciate you having me here.
All right. Have a good night, everybody.
Good night.